Okay, I'd just like to talk to you today about some of the errors I see when people are right at the beginning of their surfing performance and development, and so it's all about catching whitewater waves and standing on whitewater waves. So we're right at the beginning of a surfer's journey in the sport, and there's common things that you see which, if you're aware about them, you can do something about them. So here's the first one, and we're looking at catching the wave, and we can see here this girl paddling strongly, gets picked up by the wave, and then is able to stand up in a positive and timely fashion. As compared to this girl here, who just sits there and doesn't paddle for the wave, and because she doesn't paddle for the wave passes her by. And that's a real common thing you see. And so when you're surfing, people talk about catching waves. Well, catching waves involves paddling for the wave, getting some momentum up and running. That gives you some more stability on the board, and it makes it easier then to stand up in a consistent and successful way. And when we talk about standing, you can see here the surfer gets up fast, jumps to their feet, and has a good ride until this particular girl starts to think about her hair. But the thing here, the thing I want to point out is that she jumps to her feet, both feet pretty well hit the board together. You can see at that point the hands then let go of the surfboard, and the thing about that is once the hands let go, then the natural balance mechanism of the body comes into play, and she can then think about, concentrate on staying on top of a board. You can see here that when you look at it, think about it, the shoulder, the knee, the feet are pretty well in a straight line, and that's a positive thing. You can also see that she isn't pointing towards the nose of the board. She's pointing, if you like, her stance is side on, facing out to the rail of the surfboard. Instead of where some surfers they have chest forward like a skier, and that's another major mistake that you see. The other thing that's worth noting here is that when she gets to her feet and she's up and surfing, you can see that she's concentrating on staying up on the board. And a good little technique you can use at this stage of surfing is get to your feet, and once you're on there and you're in your balanced position, you can start counting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and try and stay up for as long as you can, and obviously try and beat that score each time you get to your feet. And the idea of that is so that you actually you start to concentrate on what you're doing. You can see, again, you can see the look in this girl's eye. She's concentrating, she's staying on the board, and everything's going really well until she does something with her hair. And you can see as soon as she does, her concentration goes, and the board starts to dig a rail. So that little technique of 1,000, 2,000 works really well to maintain your concentration when standing. You can see on this next one, this surfer, he gets to his knees and then sort of crawls up, and at this stage he lets go and then tries to jump up, but it's a really poor balance thing, and it really didn't work for him. The thing about that is, again, what he should be trying to do here is jump up so both feet hit the board together, and it just didn't happen, therefore he falls off. This surfer, besides going up to his front knee, the thing I want to point out here is he gets to that point, you can see he's got his back foot on the board, but he's got his front knee, and then when he goes and he pushes up and he gets his front foot on the board, you can see that the front foot is very close to the back foot, which means that he's got an extremely narrow stance. Once he lets go of his hands, you can see here, once he lets go of his hands, he really's got poor balance at that point. And so he needs to have a stance shoulder width apart. So with this surfer here, if he jumps to his feet, he's got the back foot there. If he continues that, he's really got to be looking at trying to get his front foot up where his front foot is, front hand is, and that'll give him a better stance, a better width in the stance, and with more width comes better balance. This surfer here does a good job. He gets to his feet quickly, but the thing that he does is that he actually stays low all the way. And you can see he's really struggling with his balance through this point here. See the board's wobbling, he's wobbling, and that's caused because the balance is too low on the board. You know, you need to actually have a little bit of give in the leg and the body so it can go up and down to handle any little wobbles or bounces. But because he's so low here, that he hasn't got that capacity. So what he needs to do here, he would be better being, I'll just get rid of that, being, in this case, standing something more like this on his board. So higher up, hands out, and that would be a better way of going, rather than that. So that's a good thing to do. Down here is a bad, it's just too low. It's not good. So have a balance that is more taller in nature. Another thing that's important is that when you jump to your feet, you try and get your front foot in the middle of the board. And you can see here what he's done here is he's put his foot onto the rail of the board, onto the outside rail. So he's in here, in this area here, and really he wants his front foot to be, if you see through the board, more in the middle, so to land in the middle there. And you see what happens when he puts his foot down, he puts all his weight, the board shifts that way dramatically, and as a result of that he gets the wobbles up and he can't handle it. So the balance is poor because his front foot position. You can get up from your knees and that, but this surfer here, if this is happening, the foot's going wide, put it in the middle and you'll have much more stability when you actually finally let go of the hands. So we can see on this girl here that she actually gets to her feet and is a little bit, the foot's onto the rail. The foot's on the rail at that point, and she handles it. But then what happens is then she moves her foot forward, just there. She moves her foot into the middle more, and then the board gets much more stability because of it. So, but if she had got up to her feet and put the front foot in the middle of the board straight away, she would have had stability straight away. The other thing about this girl is you can see that how tall she is. Again, it's very important. She would be better just being a little bit more bent. Because again, what happens is that if she's more bent, then if there's wobbles or whatever, she's got a little give and take or up and down movement that allows her to handle those little things. If she's too tall, hits a bump, she's more likely going to fall off because of that tallness in her stance. Often when surfers get to their feet, see this surfer again, he gets to his feet, his stance is a bit narrow, but the thing that I want to point out here is you can see the nose of the board sticking up in the air. So that means that his weight's too far forward. If he had moved his front foot more forward, the board would be more flatter in orientation, and if it's flat in orientation, it goes through the wave in a much more effective way. So here you can see this surfer here, at that point it's okay, but then he moves his feet around. Then the front foot's the one that needs to move forward in this case, and if it had, he'd have a longer ride because his board would be flatter in orientation. And this last one here is just to, well, one dramatic thing here is that this girl's got her leg rope on her front foot. It doesn't hamper her at all, but the thing about it is, as she progresses in the surfing, if it is on the front foot, it can cause the leg rope to catch around the back foot, and it's just not a good thing to do. So always have your leg rope on your back foot, whatever your stance is. So in this case, she should have it on her left foot because she's a goofy footer. And you can see here, if we look at her balance here, she gets up with her foot a little bit on the rail. So to improve her performance, she needs to just focus on getting her foot planted in the middle of the board right from the start, because then she has to adjust to that little bit. But again, you can see the focus on this girl. You can also see that she's got her arms out for balance. She's got a little bit of compression there. But you can see she's wobbling around a bit, but because she's got her balance, the balance mechanism's working, she can get longer rides because of it. Okay, and again, recommend that she gets to her feet, front foot onto that middle part of the board, the string of the board, and then 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and if she does that and tries to beat it, it will maintain her focus in a meaningful way. There's some of the things that I see when I watch beginners in the whitewater. I think they're common all over the world, and so paddle for and catch your waves. That's part of the surfing experience. Jump up to your feet in a one motion with both feet hitting the board together if possible. Let go of the board and get in a nice comfortable stance side on with your body facing the rail of the surfboard, and you'll have much more success. And finally, just that counting thing to help you focus on staying up for as long as you can. Hope this helps, and I'll see you next time.